comes from Phil Steele's after line, all that good stuff. I'm a fan. But let's keep going into it right now. Boom. Penn State right here. James Franklin, right? James Franklin, 12th year right here. Last year they were 13-3. This year he is returning 9 on offense, 6 on defense. Now, the hoorah about Penn State is this is the and I want you guys to address these things when you go over this. I'm just gonna tell you what I digged up as some of the hoorah, however you feel about either side. But some of the hoorah on this is like, oh, it's his last chance. Franklin got to get it done right here. I mean, he is sitting pretty. He's getting 9-6, 9 on offense, same quarterback, all that kind of stuff helps. The running back situation right there is really going to be the make or break overall with the whole thing. How well they able to run the ball. But DC, Jim Knowles coming over from Ohio State, I think is the biggest factor to Penn State and maybe why some of the heavies are on it. But at the end of the day, I just kind of feel like Penn State is one of those places that just the little engine that couldn't, you know what I'm saying? And it's always tough in the Big Ten because it's been for years that the Big Ten has took either one that's taken each other out. It's been for years that, Iowa knocked this one off, Michigan knocked Ohio State off. Like they stub each other in the toe, sometimes keeps them out of playoffs and all the other stuff too. But that's the temperature I feel right here. The other factor to it is the favorable schedule. They do have a real favorable schedule. I tried to look at it and pump it up different ways, but yeah, absolutely. In the Big Ten, they got it nice. Moose, my man, what do you feel about the stuff that's going on? What did I leave out in this Penn State piece right here?
I mean, the first thing is Abdul Carter. I mean, that's a pretty obvious one. And Tyler Warren, those are the two big losses from last year. Abdul Carter, and you could argue it, but he was the best defensive pass rusher in the country, expected to be one of the best defensive pass rushers in the NFL. And Tyler Warren, who was an absolute Swiss Army knife. The thing with Tyler Warren, he was kind of the guy that the offense leaned on in third down situations, whether it was running the ball, whether it was catching the ball, whether it was in him in the Wildcat. He was a major part of that offense and specifically their third down offense. So that's going to be a huge loss. But you look at what happened with the offensive line. That offensive line, one of the things I wrote in my little Moose dive was that it went from being elite to a leaderer. I don't know if that's a word, but we're going to use it here. This could be one of the best line, if not the best offensive line in college football. It is preseason ranked in Phil Steele as the top overall offensive line in college football. And when you're going to put the top offensive college football offensive line in front of two dynamic running backs and Nicholas Singleton and Kaytron Allen, I mean, that's a recipe for success. You look at what Michigan did a couple years ago with just running the ball with Blake Corum behind that offensive line that was ranked top in the nation. They won the national championship. I kind of see that here. I do like Penn State. It has always been Penn State kind of having to battle the other top teams as not the top team. Penn State, I believe, is the top team going into the season and is going to have to hold off the other. So it's a slightly different role for James Franklin. Quite frankly, a role that he has not done all that well in. When he has been expected to do well, he has not necessarily lived up to the hype. I do want to piggyback off of your Jim Knowles little thing there. One of the things I wrote here in my Moose Dive was the pairing of Knowles and last year's defense returning for this season is on par with Oreos and milk, red velvet and vanilla ice cream, burritos and hot sauce, chips and guac. It is all good. Preseason rank, number one overall scoring defense. Preseason rank, number one overall total defense. This is a legit team and a potential national championship contender.
Absolutely, man. I agree with all that wholeheartedly, man. My man Wine, I know you got some more angles for us. You know what I'm saying? You pump all this good old youth. I know you got more angles on this Penn State team for the people out here. Let them know what's going down.
Yeah, just a double take. I mean, I guess exactly what Moose said too. You lose Tyler Warren, you lose Abdul Carter, your two best players pretty much on offense and on defense, both go in the first round in the NFL draft. They do have another good edge rusher in Danny Sutton, who had 8.5 sacks last year in 2024. He's 6'5", 260. big dude coming off the edge. I think he's kind of be a big vocal part in this defense. That's what I wrote down here when I broke down the Big Ten, that this guy is going to potentially be a first or second round draft pick in this year's draft. They've got the best running back duo in the country in Singleton and Katron Allen. I mean, these are both guys that are going to get drafted in the top 4 rounds in next year's draft. These guys could have left this year and been drafted, but the draft class was so deep. You saw good players go in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and these guys are going to end up starting at some point, I feel like, in the NFL. We'll see, but that's besides the point here. But I like what they're doing there. They brought a lot of their experience back. Their offensive line, I have is at top 5 in the nation, so I'm right there with you guys on that. Drew Aller, he's back at quarterback. I mean, this guy's a projected first-round pick. He needs to win the big games when it matters the most, and he needs to be more efficient in throwing the deep ball, I will say, but I don't think that should be any problem when he's going to be very well protected back there under center. I like Devontae Ross, the receiver they brought over from Troy. It reminds me a lot of Tez Johnson, who was with Oregon a couple of years ago. They grabbed Kyron Hudson, wide receiver from USC. That's a big weapon for him too. I know some of these guys maybe haven't played. Kyron Hudson hasn't played his best football yet, but I think he's going to play some good football there in Penn State, especially when you got Coach Kolenicki over there as your offensive coordinator. You know, guys, last year I said this is one of the best OCs, I think, in the country. This guy's going to be a head coach for a Power 4 program before we know it. This might be his last year in Penn State. This is Penn State's year to lose. If you ask me, from the outside in, this is the best team in the nation. In my opinion, without a doubt, I think they can go toe-to-toe with anyone, especially if it's at home. They've got a nice game against Oregon at home late in September. That's going to be really nice as well. So that's going to be fun. But with that being said here, also, I didn't even touch on Jim Knowles. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Tom Allen is the best defensive coordinator in the nation. I think Jim Knowles is a top 3 to top 5. He's right there. So it's not much of a drop-off. And I think him inheriting this defense that does look good and does look experienced going into this year. It's just James Franklin, man. If he can win the big ball games when it matters most, in the playoff games, we got to see it because we haven't seen it yet. But I think this is their year to lose. I mean, like they should win it all. Like this is the best team on paper when you look at it from top to bottom. There's a couple other teams that are right there with them. We still got to see them play ball because, like I said, they still are missing 2 first-round draft picks, but they've got some good replacements. I like this Penn State team a lot. I think they could very well go 12-0 here on this schedule. The only losses would probably be at Ohio State. I think they can take care of Oregon at home. I would take their over 10.5, but I didn't end up moving on this. I won't end up moving on this because anything could happen. And having them just lose one game here is kind of a lot to ask. Just because I know Penn State is number 1 everywhere on everyone's rankings, as they should be. It's going to be interesting to see. They've got kind of a weaker schedule, I think, to start the year, but I'm excited. I really like this Penn State team, guys.
Okay, with both of you guys leaning towards Penn State, best team in the league, that's crazy. But Phil Steele did rank them first, so it's not too crazy. Maybe I'm just crazy. But let's talk about Drew Aller. I want to know where you guys think. That's the head of the whole thing right there on the offense. Drew Aller, Heisman. Maybe Heisman finalist.
He doesn't need to be though. Like he doesn't need to be a Heisman guy.
True, but if he does, like you guys are saying, one loss, if they got a 1-loss team and he's at the head of it, I'm pretty sure the stats and everything line up.
It's going to help him a lot to have those 2 guys in the backfield who are very experienced in this Coach Kolenicki offense. I think it's going to be a run heavy, and also we're going to see those guys catch the ball out of the backfield. I just think Drew Aller needs to not make the mistakes, throw the picks in the red zone when they're driving and burn drives like that. This guy, I know a lot of people don't watch the Big Ten media and stuff, but he said something about like he can make every single throw on the field and he's going to prove that this season. He still has to prove that to me because his deep ball, he's been a little inaccurate when he throws the ball downfield. But like I said, it shouldn't be a problem with this offensive line that's in front of him. This is one of the best offensive lines in the country. And Drew Aller's a projected first-round pick, which is kind of crazy because last year I didn't think that, but he showed a lot of heart in some games. So I do think he has the ability. It's just if he can it's him and Franklin. If they can execute in the big moments, sky's the limit for this team. They can win it all.
Yeah.
Well, before we go to the next, I'll just say I got them at 2 losses. Maybe to Ohio State, and then they'll get caught with their pants down one time, and they got 2 losses coming. 2 losses in the Big Ten could lead you out of the playoffs. It's going to be so tight inside of there. 18 teams. I'm pretty sure they get 2 or 3 picks in there, maybe 4. You got to be top 3 and 2 losses. Might not get you over there with Ohio State on the move, and there's probably there's a couple sleepers in the Big Ten that could shock us, pretty similar to what Indiana did last year. But let's keep it moving. Next up,